Hello, just Jem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. If you have recently watched Friday's video, then you'll wonder why I still have this makeup on. If you're confused, go and watch Friday's video. But I basically decided to move around what I was filming and I was too lazy basically to wash this makeup off my face, so instead I went ahead and finished it off. And before I get into the video, I have some bronzer on, and the bronzer is this Revolution Pro sculpting bronzer in the shade Enrobe, and that's got some cocoa extract in there. So I've got that, and that's just giving me a very slight bronze. It is there. I don't know if you can see it properly with these lights, but it is there. For blush, and probably for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be using Nomad Cosmetics. Where have I just put the one I've just used? Have I put it that far down already? Yeah, apparently so. So yeah, for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be using Nomad Cosmetics because I've not mentioned it in a YouTube video yet, but since I reviewed the Peachy Keen palette, Nomad Cosmetics actually got in touch with me because I was so disappointed and said, "That's awful, let's send you some things that we think you will actually enjoy." So they sent me a whole load of stuff, so I'm going to be testing it out. So for the foreseeable future, when I'm using a blush, it's going to be Nomad Cosmetics, and today I am using the shade Burning Up, and I kind of wish I'd showed you what it looked like before I put the highlighter that I've used on. But I'll do another video, I think, where I just show the blushes. And one of the other products they sent was a liquid highlighter. It's a shimmer souffle, so I think you can use this on your body as well, but I've just dabbed this a little bit onto my cheeks. So that's what I've got on my cheeks today, with a tiny bit of bronzer underneath, which I probably didn't need because it's quite a warm blush and a warm highlight. And then on my lips I've got the Little Miss Velour Lip Liner in 89 Fine and the Glisten Cosmetics Chroma Gloss in the shade Phoenix. I'm just really liking that combo at the moment. What have I got as my foundation? Illamasqua. It's a random Illamasqua one. So basically when I film a YouTube video, I just run through, I rotate my liquid foundations and they're listed in my description box down below invariably. But yeah, I just thought I would quickly tell you what's on my face. I think that's everything. Oh yeah, and the palette is the Made by Mitchell Sunset Chaser palette. First impressions went up on Friday. Feel free to go check that out. I'll also link that below, and it'll probably be one of the clicky thumbnails at the end of the video. But anyway, I'm not here to tell you about what I've got on my face today. I'm here to tell you about what I would potentially like to have on my face in the future. I don't know if you've been maybe living under a rock, if you aren't aware that it's Black Friday season. Black Friday is now no longer one day in November. Black Friday has now evolved to become the entire month, basically, of November. And prices get, I'm going to say cut. I'm not going to go as far as slashed, because Black Friday of late, prices have not been being slashed. To be quite frank, the discounts we've been getting on Black Friday have been abysmal. Really, they're not worth getting out of bed for. I don't know if you remember those days where you would be camping outside doors, perhaps not so much here in the UK, but definitely in America. Black Friday was huge, and if you're in the US, you'll have to let me know what it's like now. But even from when I've visited recently, I know I was there for Thanksgiving. Gosh, that was 10 years ago. So that's not that recent at all. But even 10 years ago, it was not like it was before, where you'd camp outside, you'd have people charging through the doors, you'd have fights breaking out, you'd have the price of widescreen TVs slashed to the price of a toaster. Black Friday was worth getting out of bed. It was worth getting up early. It was worth queuing, because you could find the most ridiculous bargains and it was incredible. Now you'll be lucky if you get up to 30% off some stuff. And to be honest, if it's not 30% off or more, I don't want it. Keep your stuff. If I didn't want it at full price, I don't think I want it at just 30% off. You're really going to have to nudge those prices down to fully entice me. I've been posting on Instagram as people are sort of announcing their sale. So one of the first brands to announce what they've got planned for the upcoming Black Friday sale is Nomad Cosmetics. So I have the page open in front of me and I'm going to read it basically. So they've got 3 rounds that they're going to be doing. The first round is a get more, save more. So if you spend $50 or more, you'll get $10 off. $150 or more, you'll get $50 off. And $250 or more, and you'll get $100 off. That starts on Monday, the 25th, and runs through until Thursday, the 28th of November. Next up is the Black Friday palette feature, and that's going to be 50% off the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette, and that's on Black Friday itself, the 29th, through till Sunday, December the 1st. And then you've got Cyber Monday, and that's going to be 30% off site-wide, no exclusions, and that's going to be Monday and Tuesday. And the no exclusions bit is the bit that piqued my interest, because that means it's going to include Polar Express. I'll start with what I would say my personal recommendations from what I've used from the brand. Most recently I've used Haunted Europe, and I do like that palette. I do really love the colour story, and I would recommend it with the caveat that it's an old Nomad formula, so that's worth bearing in mind. You can still get some beautiful looks from it. It just requires a little bit more work. Not too much work, not as much work as this look gave me, but it's just worth bearing in mind, especially on that purple side. It's a bit drier, a bit more finicky, but you can still produce some beautiful looks. So I would recommend that. New Zealand Stargazing is phenomenal, and that is the newer formula from what I understand. I got that this year? Yes, earlier on this year. I have a video for that. In fact, I'll link that down below. Maybe I'll link anything I'm recommending down below so it's easier for you to see it. That colour story, to me, I think might be one of my personal favourites from Nomad. And the special shades and the formula in that palette are outstanding. They are phenomenal. So I highly, highly, highly recommend New Zealand Stargazing. I will try to see, I mean there's not much time now, so maybe I'll do like a very, very quick video where I feature Fuji, Five Lakes and Wild Atlantic Way, because that's obviously the Black Friday feature palette. So I don't have a video on either of those yet. Wild Atlantic Way because I just hadn't got around to it, and Fuji Five Lakes because I've only just got it. So I'll see what I can do to be able to get something up before Cyber Monday on the 2nd, just to be able to help you choose. If it would be of any help, let me know. Maybe at the very least I'll try and do some shorts, so we'll see. But those would be, based on what I've used so far, those would be my recommendations. They're basically both the palettes I've used so far. Do I have anything else from them that I've tried? I don't think so. What's on my wish list for me personally? It's going to have to be Polar Express. It's the newest one. It's festive. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a unique colour story, but I enjoy Nomad's formula so much, and it combines colour stories that I enjoy so much that I want the palette. And I think when I first saw it revealed, I was disappointed isn't the right word as such. I think based on the shades that they had shown in the guessing game, I'd almost imagined what the rest of the palette would look like, and it wasn't quite there. So I was thrown a little bit at the full reveal, but it's definitely a palette that I want. The other thing that's on my list from Nomad is the Ghost Town palette. I made a decision not to get it because I felt I could dupe it very, very easily. I mean, I think a lot of the looks I could probably get out of Blend Bunny's Divination palette, but I just want the palette, and I think that is more because I just really like Nomad, and I want the palette. And I know I said in the beginning that 30% is not necessarily enough to make me want to purchase something. When it comes to the Nomad Ghost Town palette, it is. So those are the things that are on my wish list from Nomad. And I've just mentioned Blend Bunny, so that's quite a good segue to talk about Blend Bunny. I don't know yet what their specific sale is going to be because they haven't mentioned it yet. When it comes to recommendations, I would recommend the collab with Robert Welsh, the Divination palette. I know I was disappointed. I think I've covered that. I kind of was disappointed when I saw the reveal. And that's because to me it wasn't necessarily a Robert palette, but it is very much a Robert collaboration with Blend Bunny palette. It's very much, I think, what Robert would do when working with that format that Blend Bunny does. And having used the palette, I've done the 2 looks, I've used it since, not as much as I would like, I still need to play with it a bit more. But I think there are some beautiful looks to be created with that palette, so I would recommend it. Top recommendation from me, Longing. Longing is just... It's one of those palettes that when I got my hands on it, I had to tell myself, put that palette down because you do actually have other palettes in your collection. You own other palettes. Leave Longing alone. The shimmers in Longing, I watched Jamila's video earlier, so Jamie Trini, or I Am Jamila. I think that's what she is on YouTube. Anyway, I watched her review of Divination and she talked about the Longing palette and the shimmers in there. And she compared them to the shimmers from All Done Up and how they were on crack, basically. The shimmers from All Done Up on crack. And that just stuck with me and I thought I'd mention that to you. The colour story, the formula, just everything about the Longing palette is beautiful. For my UK viewers, I'd recommend Machina. I know it hasn't... It's been discontinued because I think Maggie said it hasn't sold as well as other palettes in her inventory. So it's not available in the US anymore. I don't know if there are other retailers that sell it that would be accessible to US customers, but I know it's still available on the Glisten website. So I would recommend Machina. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else from Blend Bunny? I have Lure. I always... Lure? I lured him. Lure. I always really struggle with the pronunciation of that word. I have that, but I have not... I don't think I've even touched it yet. I know it's really, really bad. But I got it as a present with some other things, and it's just kind of keeps getting shunted to the bottom of the pile. So that's on my list to try. But if it's anything like the others, I'd probably say that's worth getting too. When it comes to what I would like to get, so my personal want, I think if Little Miss goes on a big enough sale, so i.e. minimum of 30%, that might be something that I'd go back and get. And I don't know if it would be more... It might work out cheaper for me to actually buy it from the US site and get it sent to my friend in the US. I'm going there in the beginning of next year anyway, so that might be worth doing. I think I might possibly have a bigger saving buying it that way than through Glisten, because I just don't think they would slash the price enough on Glisten to warrant buying it. I know that the price was massively reduced on the Monolith Black Friday sale, but to be perfectly honest with you, that was hugely overwhelming. It was too much. And I thought I did quite a good job of pre-planning what I wanted and putting it in my basket. And then, like an idiot, come the Sunday morning, I was like, oh, let me just have a quick peek and see what else is there. Rookie mistake, because then the things that I really wanted ended up selling out, and then I resented having to pay postage on the 2 palettes that were left, which was Little Miss, which was reduced to 24 quid, which is actually really good, and the Calavera palette from Gourmande Girls. Speaking of which, the Calavera palette is on my list. I can't make any recommendations from Gourmande Girl because I don't have anything else from them, and Calavera was not immediately on my radar, but I don't want to get it mixed up. I think it's, so on YouTube the handle is Red Panda Sue, sent me a picture of the Calavera palette but rearranged, almost Blend Bunny style, but just in a more coherent way. And when she did that, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then I already know it's on sale. In fact, I might place the order now. That's going to go straight to my friend, so I'm not going to have that in hand until mid-February. But Gourmande Girl's Calavera palette, that's on my want list. And I was tempted to get, what's the name of that peachy palette? But the reason I'm not sure about getting the peachy palette that they've done is because I'd rather get Wandering Soul from NBA Cosmetics. That looks nice. It's similar. I think it's got less green. No, it has got green. I'll put pictures up. I'll put pictures of both palettes. And maybe let me know which one you prefer from the pictures. But for me, it's Wandering Soul. And again, can't recommend anything else from NBA Cosmetics because I haven't tried it. But that is the palette from them that I would like to try. What's next? Ooh, Cosmic. Ooh. So Cosmic have been, I would say they're another one of those brands that's a bit guilty of churning out the products. I hope that in 2025 they are fewer and further between, but they're nailing it with the colour stories and the formula. If they can keep it up with that current formula and they can somehow manage to curate wonderful, somewhat unique colour stories, which I know is very difficult, but just something about it that just makes you go, that's interesting, then Cosmic are one to watch. Like, I'm still waiting for them to like fully explode, because I think they're getting up there. I think more and more people are hearing about them. I think in fact they're more popular in America than they are over here. I think it's only now really that they're starting to maybe pick up a bit of pace. But I join their lives, and when I think about the lives that I join, and it's like Made by Mitchell or Glamlite or whatever it might be. I mean, Glamlite's a massive brand at this point, but you've got hundreds and maybe even up to the thousands of people joining. And Cosmic, I think the most I've seen is maybe 20. Unless they've got like a special event going on. Like, I'd imagine on Black Friday they're going to have a lot of people on that live perusing and seeing what the TikTok Black Friday deals are. But I'm holding out. So Muse is on my list. I know they've done a restock on that, and I almost bought it immediately, and I was like, why are you buying it now? Black Friday's a couple of weeks away. Sit tight. You've waited this long. What's a few more weeks? I've held out, and I'm going to wait for the Black Friday sale to get Muse. I'm umming and ahhing over whether or not I would pick up Gothic if it goes on sale. Do you know what? It's really petty, but one of the reasons I don't want Gothic is because it's not the same size as the other palettes. Like, it really infuriates me that it's a 12-pan palette and not a 20-pan palette, and it just doesn't fit with the rest of them. That is my biggest reason to not get that palette, which is kind of silly, but do you know what? If it means that I don't spend £22 or whatever it is reduced on it and I can put it towards someone else, then I'll take it. But that is, to be honest, the main reason I haven't bought it up until this point. Not to mention the fact that it was out of stock for a considerable amount of time. It's back now. Let's see. Maybe on Black Friday they slash it down to like £11. If they do that, then yeah, I'll get it. But other than that, I don't think so. Then you've got the Sinister palette, which was part of the mystery box. I don't know if that would have a sale price. I know it's going to be available on its own on the TikTok shop, so I will pick it up. And again, the main reason I would pick that up is not necessarily because the colour story is screaming out at me. It is fairly not that I'd say it's unique, because it's kind of, it's very, very similar to Vamp by Bella Beauty Bar. It's not like anything that Cosmic have done. So for the formula alone, and the fact that it doesn't look like anything I currently own, I would get that. It's not a colour story that immediately jumps out at me, that I look at and I think, oh, I need that in my life. But I feel like it could encourage me to get creative without pushing me too far out of my comfort zone. I don't think I would look at that palette and just be bemused and not have a clue what to do with it. I think it could get some creative juices flowing, and it would encourage me to think outside the box a little bit. So that's why I'm keen to get that Sinister palette. I'm very glad I didn't get the mystery box though, because I have basically little to no interest in the rest of the contents of that palette, of that box even. Possibly that purple blush, which is called Heroin, because I think that could look really good, but at the same time I've got a blush very, very similar to that in my Made by Mitchell curve case, the deeper than deep version, and I think it's the lipstick Nancy that I'm curious about. But I wouldn't want to buy the entire mystery box just for the palette, one lipstick and one blush. So those are my wish list items. As for what I would recommend, all of it. All of it. I'm just not even gonna... Every single palette. Obviously, I mean, I can't speak on Gothic and Muse because I don't have them yet, but if they are anything like the other palettes from Cosmic, all of it. Yeah, all of it. What is next? Bella Beauty Bar. These are really nice segues, actually. These are not planned. I mentioned Bella Beauty Bar and how the Sinister palette is very similar to the Vamp palette, which I have no interest in, as I've just said. And I saw the Vamp palette, didn't want to buy it. However, Poison Garden is right up my alley. Unfortunately, it's on back order at the moment. Bella Beauty Bar have actually posted, a matter of a couple of hours ago, if that, saying that there's going to be a 25% sale across the website, which I'm a bit stingy, isn't it? Sorry. Well, it is, isn't it? Couldn't stretch to 30, like Nomad. Having said that though, I want that palette, so at 25% off I would have got it. I'm buying it anyway, but it's again one of those, I'm not going to have it until I go to the States in February, because I'm going to order it to my friend's house. That Poison Garden palette, it just... I feel like to me, it's hauntingly beautiful. I think it's stunning, and I think of all the palettes that I've laid eyes on this year, that's the one that I keep coming back to. And I'm infuriated by the fact that even like Monolith were out of stock, so I couldn't even take advantage of that during the Black Friday sale. It's on pre-order now. It's still not going to be part of the Black Friday sale. People have already pre-ordered at full price, so it's not really fair to now let people pre-order at the sale price of 25% off. I get that. So it's a shame. I'm still going to be buying it. I'll order it. Maybe I'll even order it this weekend. It's one I'm not going to have until February, which is a little bit frustrating, but I want that palette. I'm patient, I can wait. Roll on February. Glamlite. So this is another brand, a bit like Bella Beauty Bar, where it's very, very difficult to get hold of in the UK, or at least very difficult to get hold of in the UK in a timely fashion. Beauty by Tammy is a UK sort of reseller of Glamlite, but it takes a while for them to appear over this way. I don't even know when the Halloween collections, which are the ones I'm interested in, would actually drop. Trick or Treat and Friday the 13th. So they did do a pre-Black Friday sale, which was 30% off, and I nearly ordered, and I thought to myself, if you've done a pre-Black Friday sale that's 30% off, what's your actual Black Friday sale going to be? Maybe it'll just be 30% off again. And if it is, that might be enough for me to kind of pick up all of the Halloween stuff, I'm not going to lie. So that's going to, as I say, Friday the 13th, Trick or Treat and Scarface. What I might do is I'll have a bit more of a look at things I've already got, other palettes I'm interested in, and compare them to those 3 palettes to see. Because I think when I talked about them in new releases, I said yes to Trick or Treat, and I said I could basically take or leave Friday the 13th, but I keep thinking back to that Frosties formula and how much I enjoyed it and how well they would pair, and I keep seeing people use it. So if it's 30% off or more, yes, I'm probably going to get it. And Scarface, I need to see. I recently picked up Skulls and Roses from Nomad Cosmetics. I think it's a similar vibe, but I think Scarface is more, it leans more towards the cool side and it's got more silvers in it, whereas Skulls and Roses leans more towards the gold side of things. And I should say, like, I've set aside I've got like a little Black Friday budget, so that's another thing I need to do, is work out how much I think all of this is going to be with all of the discounts in place and see if it's going to hit that budget or go above it. And if it's going to go above it, then I'm going to have to do some recalculating and take things off, because I'm not going over that budget. I'm just not. It's a reasonable budget, don't get me wrong, which is why I'm not allowing myself to go over it. Last but by no means least, there's a brand that has recently come to my attention called Titanium Foxes, and they're based in France, and they've got 2 palettes out at the moment, Poppy Quiet and Poppy Loud. Poppy Storm, there we go. I think because one's Poppy Quiet, so Poppy Loud, but yeah. So Poppy Quiet and Poppy Storm, and the formulas in those look to be very unique. I would love to get my hands on them just to be able to swatch them, to be honest. They don't look like your run-of-the-mill indie palettes, and that's not to say indie palettes are run-of-the-mill, but there's just something about the way these Titanium Foxes palettes look and how the shades appear. I hope that the pictures I'm inserting that I can find will do it justice. I mean, some of them are from the owner, so she's going to take her time to demonstrate how beautiful it looks. But I haven't seen a questionable look or a questionable swatch from either of these palettes. And they're also releasing another palette which is called Grackle Chat, and that looks equally beautiful, to be honest. I'd start with the poppies to see how I find them. They come as a bundle, so I'm just waiting. I don't even know if they would do a Black Friday sale, but that one is one that I wouldn't necessarily need a Black Friday sale to purchase. Just by looking at it full price, I think it would be worth it. I think one's €50 and the other's €60, and you can buy or a bit more, and then you can buy a bundle that saves you maybe €10 altogether, something like that. But Titanium Foxes, that looks to be like it could be a brand to watch out for in the coming year. I would love to test them out, and I'd love to see what they produce in the future. Those are the brands that are on my radar. I feel like I've spoken very, very quickly. I feel like I've slowed down now, but there was a point where I feel like I was talking about 100 miles an hour. And if I was, I sincerely apologise. I think I must have been excited or tired, or a combination of the two. That's just a bit of nervous excitement about the potential goodies that I could be getting my hands on from sort of now all the way up until February. Let me know down in the comments what is on your Black Friday wish list. Maybe like your top 3. Is there anything that you've had your eye on maybe since the beginning of the year and you've just not been too sure, but now it's Black Friday, you're thinking to yourself, right, I'm ready, this is it. Once it goes on sale, I'm going to grab it. And maybe it's not palettes, maybe there aren't any palettes, maybe there's other makeup items that you would be interested in picking up. Maybe I've reminded you of a palette by giving you my rundown of what I'm interested in and what I would recommend. I hope that you found this video useful. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch, and hopefully I'll see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye.